Hey, it's Gerald from Lakers Fast Break. Anchor is the easiest way to make your next podcast. It's absolutely free, and their creation tools will allow you to record and edit your show right from your phone or your home computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on great podcast outlets like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started on your next podcast. We're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, the Lakers Fast Break, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever you can do to support not only the Lakers Fast Break and Pop Culture Cosmos and Inside Sports Fantasy Football, but all the great things that everyone here does, including Lakerholics.com, the NBA Draft Junkies, and of course the Run the Floor podcast as well. It is truly appreciated. That's all I can do right now is just exhale because you know what? The Lakers escaped. And there's no better way to say it is that they escaped with a miraculous shot at the buzzer by Anthony Davis, a three-pointer to win the game 105-103 in Game 2 over the Denver Nuggets. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and first and compliment the Denver Nuggets coaching staff because in the second half, they did a whale of a job making the adjustments necessary to come back from 16 points down. But the Lakers did just enough. As you can hear, my voice is going out too as well because I was screaming nonstop in the second half. But you know what? They played a hell of a game, and they deserve all the credit in the world. But the Lakers did manage to go ahead and sneak out a victory. And today with me are 5 awesome people as far as total, including myself. I'm going to go ahead first to my good friend. You got to go ahead and support him today at NBA Draft Junkies, where there are row after row after row on YouTube of videos detailing a lot of the prospects coming up in the NBA Draft. There's no better place to catch any information that you need for the NBA Draft this year than NBA Draft Junkies. And Rafael Barlowe is the man indeed. Rafael, I'm going to be hearing from some Laker fans here in a minute, some diehard ones. So before we get to that, I want to hear from you as far as the impression that the Denver Nuggets made for you in that second half.
It's just consistent with what we've seen from them all playoffs. They don't get down on themselves. They keep playing. They're competitive, and what a heartbreaker. That was probably one of the worst ways to lose. I think
2.6 seconds.
40. Yeah, 2.6 seconds. Murray came up with a big block. It reminds me a little bit of the Clippers Mavericks game when Luka hit the big shot. And when you watch the replay, the first thing you're thinking is, why did Plumlee just not follow AD? It's like he stopped and then he pointed.
No screen or anything. I mean, he just.
Yeah. So, I guess on one hand you can say he was covering LeBron, but he just left AD open. But then, what a luxury for the Lakers to be able to run like a screen for a game-winning 3 for your first team All-NBA, all-defensive center.
And I said, earlier, I wanted to say, I know a lot of people are even on Twitter, are kidding Maria Taylor about her for just forgetting and leaving him off the ballot. Everybody makes mistakes like that, and she does a great job normally, but Go on Twitter. I'm just looking on Twitter right now as far as it's concerned. She's getting a little bit of flack and feedback because of what happened today. Come on, lay off.
Can't make that mistake though.
Yeah,
you cannot make that mistake.
I know it's hard.
I don't care your gender, race.
It's a come on, man. On anywhere. Come on, man.
Yeah. I can't.
True, he is 6'10", so it's hard to miss him, actually, So I get that. But just a miraculous shot. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead with the mastermind of LakerHolics.com himself. I'm not going to ask him to sing a cappella because it would be hard for me right now to sing a cappella all the screaming that I did. But he is the mastermind behind LakerHolics.com. You know there's going to be a lot of conversation ahead at LakerHolics.com, so please be part of it today. And LakerTom, I see that smile beaming across right now. It's coming through over the social media outlet known as Facebook Live. And I want to hear your thoughts, my friend. It was very concerning what the Lakers did because, especially in that latter half of the fourth quarter, when they just packed the paint and made it so tough for LeBron to go ahead and try anything as far as going and getting into the paint. They really stepped up their defense, and I give Denver a lot of kudos for that. But again, the Lakers overcame all that and secured the victory.
Well, you have to give a lot of credit to the Denver Nuggets. That was a heroic effort. I pretty much thought that was the one game out of 5 that I gave them. Sorry to take it back, but that's the way the ball bounces. I love the way that Anthony Davis took over the second half. I loved how LeBron carried the club in the first half. We got out to, I think it was 16 or 17 point lead at one point. So we definitely had them under control. This kid Dozier came back and made some great plays, some great attacks to the rim.
He missed 4 free throws.
He missed 4 free throws. So I was sitting there saying, clutch rookie, and he missed those. And Joker missed a couple of free throws too.
Yes.
And we shot 16 out of 17 free throws, which really, that's unusual for us, unless it's
18 out of 19.
18 out of 19, unless it's AD shooting them, all of them. It's hard for us to replicate that. The JaVale McGee experiment really made me angry because JaVale
I knew you were going to say that. I just absolutely.
And, that could have cost us the game because we really struggled when he was out there. And I don't know what it is with JaVale, whether it's because he just doesn't seem to have the energy or lift, and he struggles to hold on to the ball and struggles to make the right play.
Kyle Kuzma struggled at times as well.
I thought Howard came in and played great. I really, listen, I'm the small ball guru of the site, but I thought that Frank made a mistake not having Howard in there earlier. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I'm guessing that we didn't do as well with Morris at center in this particular game as we've done in previous games, and I thought Frank was a little late to make that change. LeBron ran out of gas at the end and made several poor plays, including an air ball 3.
Well, again, I think it's to the point where they packed it in. Hold on, LakerTom. You got to remember, in that last minute or two, they packed the paint in very tightly. It made it extremely difficult for LeBron to go ahead and drive it in.
Yeah, but that's no excuse. LeBron just didn't have it in him in those last few plays. And we were lucky that we have a second superstar on the lineup that could pull it out. Those last 2 threes he made were really the game winners. KCP, I thought, had a great block on Murray, and that was an incredible tip that Joker got in there. There's a little bit of luck there and getting that shot, but you got to give Denver credit. I think it's a sweep now. I think they lost their one chance for that one game.
I agree.
It's going to be hard for them to recover, even though we're going home to the Denver virtual fans. At any rate, the Lakers at times played sensational defense. The Nuggets at times came back on it really well. They're a better team by far than the Rockets and the Blazers were, but the Lakers are still so far ahead of them that I don't see how they can come back and win a game at this point in time. I'm going to bring out the broom right now. I think it's going to be a sweep. The Lakers in 4.
Go. Here we go. My gosh. All right. Well, also with us today is a good man indeed. He's one of the blog editors for Lakerholics.com. And I'll tell you what, Jamie, I know your time is limited with us today, but I want to hear your impressions. First off, I want to ask you this. You know, I want to give credit to Aaron Foster, who is a friend of mine. He's actually a boyfriend of my sister-in-law, and he was actually we were watching it, and he was streaming from a different location while watching it, and he picked out that the Lakers went for 8 straight three-pointers at the end of the game. And that's a recipe most times for disaster. I want to hear your thoughts on continuously going to it. I think that was basically by design for the Denver Nuggets because, again, they packed the paint, which LeBron's, you know, as LakerTom says, LeBron, even superhuman himself, is supposed to go around 4 different players, you know, just to get to the basket. Because that's what he says.
Or get the ball to one of those guys on the outside who's going to be open.
Well,
when they
he tried to, but admittedly, he got an offensive foul on one of them. But I digress. I want to hear your thoughts on what in the second half the Denver did so right, and what in the first. What does the Lakers need to do to go ahead and keep this going, to go ahead and fulfill LakerTom's prophecy of a sweep?
I mean, I don't know that they can fulfill that prophecy. I think it still may end up being a game or two goes Denver's way. I thought Denver kind of found a way to stay in the game better today. You know, there's always that moment in a playoff series, I feel like, where the team that's not expected to win, like, kind of uncovers, I don't want to say like a secret formula or whatever, but like they just find the right combination of guys. They find the right strategy to use on a team that kind of evens the playing field. And for Denver tonight, I thought that the way they basically said, take the 3. Like that's the shot they gave up. They chose to give up the 3-point shot, and the Lakers weren't able to knock enough of them down to pull away in the second half. And that's one of my issues with the Lakers being, you know, a 3-point shooting team, in that we're not. We're just not a good 3-point shooting team. Danny Green, keep waiting for Danny Green to have that game or series.
He did had a couple today.
But I mean, I think he shot like 4 for 10, and a lot of those.
Well, 4 for 10. If you're talking about from the 3-point area, I mean, he 3 for 10.
It's not terrible.
30%.
It's not terrible. It's
30%.
3 for 10.
Yeah, 3 for 10.
So I mean, that's like average Danny Green, right? Like, and I think we shot under 37% from 3, which is, you know, we need to shoot better than that if we're going to rely on the 3-point shot. So it's not a weapon that the Lakers are either good at or comfortable using. And we're not designed to win that way. So I think that we'll see a lot more of that going forward from Denver. I think we'll end up seeing a little bit of – I know, hold on a sec. It's just one of those things where I think that we'll see a lot more of this going forward. And as we see more of this going forward, it's going to be interesting to see if the Lakers what the Laker adjustment is. I was actually thinking at some point in the second half that even though Jokic is probably going to eat Morris alive, we might end up seeing a little more small ball from the Lakers than we saw today, just to try to get another decent 3-point shooter out there. I don't know if that's what we'll do or not. It just wouldn't surprise me to see an adjustment like that from Vogel. We did only see 13 minutes, I think, of Dwight Howard tonight, compared to a little bit more. 13 minutes. He had a pretty good game. I don't know if Frank was thinking that Denver was expecting Dwight Howard to come in. I'm not sure why he played so sparingly. I kind of agree with LT on that. I thought like 20 minutes of Dwight Howard would make more sense. But it is what it is. And regardless of how it all worked out, the Lakers walked away with a W, and for Laker fans, that's the most important thing. And that's a heartbreaking way for the Nuggets to lose. That's one of those. It's one of those moments that it could tilt the series, but I don't see that happening with this team. The one defining trait of Denver is they are like the Terminator. Like, you blow them up, you shoot them in the head, you push them off a cliff. They climb back up, they get back up, and they come and they keep attacking. So I don't expect for that to change. And I wonder that we might just see more of that. Pack the paint and let them cast off from 3 and live with it. You know, you got to live with something in the NBA. You take something away, you give something up. It's the cardinal rule, and I think Mike Malone and company are going to be just fine letting them chuck threes at a rate that we're not really comfortable or built to sustain.
Well, hopefully it will continue as far as the success for the Lakers, so we can say "Hasta la vista, baby" to the Nuggets. But again, it's still up in the air with the Lakers having a 2-0 lead. But also with us today is another blog editor for Lakerholics.com, and Sean Grice, aka Magic Man. You got to be satisfied that the Lakers were able to pull it out. How was the first half? Let's talk about a little bit about the first half and what the Lakers did right, because they built up to a 16-point lead. And Alex Caruso was a major factor involved in that.
Yeah, he was, Gerald. Both LeBron and Alex, looked to me, made a concerted effort to be aggressive, to put the pressure on the Nuggets defense and to adjust to their synergy again. I mean, I really like the two of them playing together. And Vogel's been able to find a combination of players to surround them, usually AD, and then you've seen KCP a lot in the lineups that are favorable as far as plus-minus goes. And then it's usually a mixture of a Danny Green or someone else. I thought the first half was, again, I think AD just is treading water again. He's kind of figuring out when to assert himself, when he really needs to turn it on. And he was capable of doing this in the regular season by himself with the Pelicans because, quite honestly, he didn't really have a veteran like LeBron who has a sixth sense of when to just put your foot down on the gas and just go. He never really had that. Now he does. And he doesn't really need to it's non-communicative with them now. One of them knows when to turn it on, and the other one knows when they can, chill out. That's basically what it's come down to. And I feel comfortable with that. And again, this was just Anthony Davis doing what he did before, except this was in the playoffs. And he hit that amazing three over KD and Russ. And he's shown himself capable of just being able to take the last shot and living with the results.
Rafael, I want to ask you this about the competition in the first half between Michael Porter Jr. versus Kyle Kuzma. It seemed to suck a lot of the life out of what was going on as far as the lead is concerned, and because it became a distraction for the Lakers because Kyle was trying to do everything he could to try and match up with whatever Michael Porter Jr. was doing.
Yeah, I mean, he just has to know his role, that he is arguably their third option, and can't just get caught up in those individual matchups. But that's the thing about having veterans on the team. They, they were able. I'm sure they gave him a few words at halftime. So, but yeah, I mean, he just got caught up in the whole little individual thing, and I'm sure there were jokes on Twitter about it.
Oh, absolutely, because Kyle Kuzma clearly did not win that one-on-one matchup. LakerTom,
and he's not a one-on-one guy.
No,
no.
But he thinks he is. That's the problem.
Yeah, I was gonna say he believes he is.
Yes.
He will be on the team they trade him to.
LakerTom. Well, LakerTom. Okay, LakerTom. I'm going to tell you right now. You see this? This is a ticket. This is a ticket that I'm holding that I'm not yet going to go ahead and cash in on the Rondo train. So because playoff Rondo was not there today, we got an okay enough Rondo to get the job done. But it certainly wasn't a performance that we've seen in the past week, and which to me was to be expected because I knew at some point he's going to come down to earth. But it just didn't seem when he was in there that the offense flowed as well, which is what he's supposed to be in there for when LeBron's out or when LeBron is playing off the ball. So I want to hear your thoughts on playoff Rondo not getting it done as well tonight.
Well, I think when you look at the stats, and one of the things that jumps out, and I think which is a real difference in this game as to why it was a close game, were the turnovers. We had 24 turnovers.
Ridiculous amount.
LeBron had 6 turnovers.
Rondo had 5.
Rondo had
Rondo
five
had 5.
turnovers, and Kuzma had 4 turnovers.
That's the inexcusable.
And then when you look at the whole situation about Rondo, one of the things that really disturbed me, as I said earlier, was that we were not getting good results when we had Morris in there and LeBron, and we were playing really small. They were killing us on the boards. They were driving to the rim and getting layups, and nobody was protecting the rim. We had a -8 when Morris was in the game and a +10 when Howard was in the game. And yet Howard played very few minutes. I think this was an adjustment and then you also take the fact that we wasted, how many minutes did JaVale play? He ended up playing 12 minutes. You lost 12 minutes there.
You were just going to die on that hill, aren't you? You're just going to die on that hill.
Wait a second. Let me make the point. You lost 20 minutes in the game when you're not playing your best players and your best combinations. And one of the things that Rondo really needs in order to be effective on the court is he needs to have a dunker. He plays much better when there's somebody that can get those lob passes, because that's one of the things he really does well when he penetrates. When he penetrates and he doesn't have a dunker to throw that lob pass to, that eliminates 1/3 of his options. So I think the adjustment we're going to see in the next game is that McGee is not going to start. Howard is going to start. And the Lakers are going to take care of the ball. If there was a sign of overconfidence on the Lakers' part and not taking Denver seriously enough, it's the way they handled the ball, because these weren't great steals. These were sloppy turnovers, guys dropping the ball out of bounds, LeBron throwing passes that had no chance to get through the lane, and just silly turnovers. Kuzma missed 2 or 3 easy fast break opportunities in the first half. McGee missed 2 or 3 right under the rim opportunities in the first half. We played a lackadaisical game, and we were fortunate that Anthony Davis saved our butts. And we aren't going to make that mistake again. I think that they're going to come out and even though we're going back to the Denver virtual fans, we're going to take the next 2 games and come home to Los Angeles with a sweep.
You just love stressing that. I will say this. Go ahead, Sean. I'll hold you in a sec. I want to say this in regards to Dwight Howard. You got to remember why he only played 13 minutes. 5 fouls. He gets himself into foul trouble real quickly. So if you start him,
he wasn't on the court until very late in both of those situations.
But I'm just telling you right now, 5 fouls in 13 minutes. If you start him, you
one
are.
Of them was a clean block that should have been contested.
It doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter.
It's a foul.
It's a foul. But I'm just telling you right now, if you start him, you can be prepared for him to go out quickly with foul trouble. That is always a possibility with him. Sean, I want to ask you this. I mean, you hear LakerTom stressing for a starting for Dwight Howard, and I'm not saying I disagree with him, because I know he wants JaVale McGee out of there as fast as possible, out of the starting lineup.
He wants to package him in a trade.
Yeah. Already during the season, during the playoffs, if he can. Anything at this point when it comes to JaVale McGee for him. But regardless,
Gerald.
I want to hear your apprehension, or maybe you are actually all the way totally behind LakerTom when it comes to starting Dwight Howard.
This is Rafael from NBA Draft Junkies.com, and you are listening to the Lakers Fast Break.
Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
I see the potential for basically like another Netflix kind of paradigm shift where here comes this other major player. They have a ton of resources. Apple could change the way that entertainment is consumed.
They say it's the only time this year that you'll have stars from each brand battling each other, and we know it's not going to be the case, but they like to say that, and more power to them, I guess.
Well, it's a big first step, bringing all those superheroes together. There were definitely some parts of the movie that I really enjoyed, and then there were some parts that I thought just kind of fell short of expectation.
Part of it has to be something to do with how it's being promoted, and this is a thing where audiences do not agree with critics.
That's the Pop Culture Cosmos Show.
And the PCC Multiverse, every week on Apple Podcasts.
And over a dozen of your favorite streaming and podcasting options. You're on mute.
You're on mute, Magic Man.
I can't unmute you.
We couldn't hear you.
You're on mute still.
Yes.
There you go.
The bell tolled Gerald.
Yes, it's Ada. That's right. The infamous bells that you have right there. Okay. Yeah. I feel like at Count Dracula's castle when that happens. So go ahead.
No, I was actually going to say I'm in total agreement with Tom. Dwight Howard should be inserted into the starting lineup. I feel like sometimes he's imbalanced when he comes off the bench now, and I think that Vogel has to shorten the front court at this point in the playoffs anyway. We've got a best of 5 coming up. We need to win 2 out of the 5. I think if he shortened the rotations where it was just AD, White, and Keith, that it would create some more balance and some symbiosis with balancing, either Kuz, LeBron, KCP, and then, our front court, backcourt, excuse me. I think AC is playing really well. He's going to be in there, and I think, you got to find some combination where Rondo and Danny Green can be out there too. So this has to be like an 8 to 9 man rotation at this point.
Jamie, I want to go ahead and ask you this because they were very successful in that second half. Denver was with what they were doing, the schemes. They were throwing a lot of junk defenses at the Lakers, and again, in that when it came down to those crucial points in time, they were packing in the paint and making LeBron do other things that he was not as comfortable with doing. So I want to hear your thoughts on how the Lakers can combat that and what they can do to go ahead if the Denver, which they will most assuredly do, try once again in Game 3.
I think there's 2 things I can try. One, and this is almost never comes out of my mouth, but the Lakers can go small. I think if they go small when Jokic goes to the bench, they got a pretty good chance of at least treading water on the glass and on the points. And the other is to keep another ball handler out there at all times. If it's Caruso, that's kind of a ball handler light. He's not a great point guard. He's kind of more of like a jack of all trades point guard, and maybe a little more Rondo than we've seen so far. So I think those are the 2 things, because I feel like one of the ways you can get out of that paint packing is if you have some shooters on the floor and you put LeBron in the post. LeBron can back his man down. There's not too many guys that can hang with him, and when they double or triple him, he'll kick it out. So I think that's going to be the Lakers' adjustment to the paint packing in the second game. I don't know if it'll happen like right off the bat or second half or what have you, but that would be my guess. In terms of who starts Dwight or JaVale, I don't think it matters, because one way or another, I think that I just think that the fouls aren't going to go the way they went in either game 1 or game 2 going forward. There's not going to be like a 12 foul discrepancy between the teams. I feel like this always happens in the playoffs. Some team, early on gets a bunch of free throws. The other team whines about it in the post game. Then the next game, they get a bunch of free throws. And then the refs basically just stop calling fouls. And it's like a hockey game for for the rest of the series. And that's sort of what I also expect to happen going forward. So I kind of expect Dwight to pick up more fouls. I expect, everybody to be in either foul trouble or, superstars having to sit out on both teams. And it's going to come down to which, role player can step up and make a couple of buckets or make a couple of plays. I'd be fine with Dwight Howard starting. I'm fine with JaVale starting. I don't see, the difference isn't so much on offense as it is on defense. I think Dwight is by far the superior defender. He's much quicker, moves laterally better, still has, for guys gone through multiple back surgeries, still has great lift. He's in great shape. Kudos to him and his training staff.
Almost hit his head on the rim when he came from behind on a block, which is already called a foul. If you saw that, he almost hit his head on the rim.
No, he's He's still got it, man. He's still got every. I mean, maybe he's not like jumping over. Yeah, exactly. Maybe he's not jumping over a Kia or something like that in a dunk contest or whatever. Well, that was Blake Griffin. You know what I'm saying? Like, in terms of NBA impact, his athleticism is still elite. I consider it to be elite at any rate. So either way, I mean, I can see bonuses to having Dwight start. I feel like if he gets, the problem being is if he does get into foul trouble,
JaVale starting.
You save Dwight for when you specifically need him. It's more of like a strategic deployment as opposed to if he picks up 2 fouls in the first quarter, 3 fouls if you leave him in. Now he's done for the half.
Shorten the game to a 36-minute game.
Well, see, I think it's easier than said than done. I'm not, like I said, if Dwight starts, I'm cool with it, but I won't be surprised if on, when's the next game? Wednesday, Thursday?
It's on
something
Tuesday.
like that.
Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday.
Because remember,
right,
they're
we're just
catching
skipping
up.
Monday.
They're catching up.
They're skipping Monday Night Football is what they're doing.
Right.
They're saying first Monday Night Football, we'll let that one go, which is smart ratings-wise because it's all about the ratings right now, man. It'll be interesting to see if they start Dwight. I kind of don't think they will. I think despite the closeness of the game, despite the manner in which we won it, I think that they're going to go back and say, we can do enough adjusting to negate the paint packing. We'll try to foul a little bit less, and we'll hope to hit a couple more threes.
Take care of the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Take care of the ball, and that's been Frank's MO. I mean, whether I agree with it or not, or anybody agrees with it or not, isn't really the point. That's what Frank does, whether anybody likes it or not. So I expect him to continue to do that.
Magic Man, Magic Man, I know you wanted to interject.
Yeah, I just wanted to say of the 3 teams left, other than the Lakers, JaVale McGee is just the island of misfit toys as far as a matchup goes. Like, honestly, the way Denver plays, the way Boston plays, the way Miami plays, JaVale would be on that island of misfit toys. Be a perfect.
And he would be hunted.
Yes, especially by Spo and so.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm Vogel, I'm looking at the 3 teams and thinking, Dwight has to play at least 30 minutes a game, at least. And
he won't. He can't make it because of foul trouble. I'm telling you, with Dwight Howard, it's a ticking time bomb. Either he gets the other team in foul trouble, or he gets himself in foul trouble. Sometimes it's both.
And that's almost as good.
Well, if
because it's Nikola who will be the guy in foul trouble.
Yeah, but one of the reasons why the 09 Magic made it to the finals was because they were able to keep Dwight on the floor. Even when he was prone to foul trouble, they surrounded him with competent defenders, and they surrounded him with shooters, and he was able to get in pick and roll situations or able to avoid those spots that unfortunately he gets involved in now with the Lakers. But I mean, if you just watched a little bit of film from those 09 team, Dwight can do, like Jamie said, and like Raphael said, Dwight can still do a lot of the same things he could do back then.
But my gosh,
maybe it's at a different speed.
If he'd ever embraced the pick and roll, just think of where he'd be right now. But again,
honestly,
that's what Raphael was saying, and I can't agree with him more on that.
Especially when we had D'Antoni as a coach and Kobe. That would have been.
But they were the best team in the league the second half of the season.
I think
they were
that was
far down, and then they end up making the playoffs.
Well, I'll tell you.
Well, I thought that was when Steve Nash embraced the role of spot up 3-point shooter, and Dwight got his legs under him again after his first surgery.
Yeah.
And that year he still averaged like 17 and like 12, and you asked Laker fans, and they hated him. They thought he was the worst player ever.
Yeah, nobody on this panel though.
No, I
wasn't around then.
I wasn't around then either on this panel, so I will say that. But I do want to thank Dwight Howard forever for contributing his missed free throws to our 2009 championship. So I will say this: it's still Game 3 is coming up, and Rafael, I want to hit you up with this. I mean, if you're Denver and you've had that kind of, like Magic Man was saying, you had victory just snatched away from you, from the jaws of defeat. It was just like that, just right out of there. I want to hear your thoughts on what you do, what you say to your team, and how they can actually go ahead after such an emotional loss, get back up to go ahead and compete once again, because they are proving to everyone out there that they are an extremely skilled team that can beat anyone in the NBA.
Well, if there's a team that is, I guess, can weather this storm, it's Denver. I mean, being down 2-0, I mean, even though it is the Lakers, but being down 2-0, I mean, we've seen teams come back from down 2-0. But, I mean, they were last Sunday, a week ago at this time, give or take a few hours, they were down like 20 points facing a 3-1 deficit, and they came back and won. So I think with most teams, this will be a heartbreaker. I mean, it's still going to be a heartbreaker, but I should say most teams I don't think will be able to recover from it at all. And usually when you see a game like this, a team gets blown out the next game. But I think with this Denver team, you just can't count them out. If they split the next 2 games, they'll be down 3-1, which is, they're undefeated when they get down 3-1 in the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, you still can't count this team out. And if I'm Frank Vogel, what I'm telling the guys is don't get overconfident. Don't get overconfident. They may get a little overconfident this game. This Denver team is not going to go away. Even if you're up 3-0, even though history says it's impossible for a team to come back from down 3-0, this Denver team just doesn't want to go home.
And LakerTom, I want to ask you this. I see you already flashing the number 4 again, stressing that.
I should have brought a broom from the garage. But
oh, my gosh.
Ahead of time,
I mean, well, how do you get to that point? I mean, because Denver has been down like this before. I mean, you've got one of the most resilient teams ever when it comes to the NBA playoffs. Ever. And so how do you go ahead and come back from that? You're fending off against overconfidence.
It's a combination of things. First off, there's a law of averages. There's how many miraculous comebacks can you pull together in one playoff session, They've done it twice against teams that were nowhere near the caliber of the Lakers. Now they just had their heart ripped out. They lost the one game that they should have won that would have kept them from being swept. And the Lakers, Frank Vogel is going to just jump on top of them for all of those turnovers, for not taking care of the ball, for the 2-point guards on the team basically having 11 turnovers. In fact, I think they may have had more turnovers than assists. I'm not mistaken there. LeBron they had 20 assists, but 11 turnovers. That's just not, they let the Lakers off the hook and miss their one opportunity. Now they have their backs to the wall, because if they lose the next game, their odds of winning, the odds of surviving and winning a series are exactly 0. It's never been done in history by better teams than them.
Well, I'll tell you what, you get your broom ready. If that's the case, get your broom ready if they win on Game 3. I'll let you go ahead and do that.
I'll have my broom Tuesday night all right. I've got a nice little whisk broom in my car. It's a perfect size for bringing onto the set of the podcast.
There you go.
Hey, if you sweep the Nuggets, you don't have to go 3-1.
Right. That's the only way to beat them.
I should be telling them that, John. Good point.
I will say, if I'm Mike Malone, I'm telling my team, we're one Jamal Murray 3-pointer or a couple of made free throws in a game where we missed a lot of free throws. And they won. Jamal Murray missed a lot of 3-pointers. Right, exactly. So that's what I'm telling my team. I'm telling them, look, we're hanging right in there. Like we all know, they've got us right where they want us. They're down 2-0. They've got to win one more, and then the series is over.
Do you think the Lakers are going to take your foot off the gas or the foot off their throats? No way.
No, but I didn't really think I don't think we had such a huge energy letdown in the second half. I thought that
we had an 8-0 lead with 4 minutes left to go.
I thought Denver had a brilliant scheme that they went to.
I think
down the stretch they did.
Yeah, I thought that we had a difficult time adjusting to the pack to paint, and that's where I think
we made
that's
silly turnovers. LeBron threw up an air ball. Rondo dropped the ball out of bounds.
What caused some of these turnovers?
But that's
Good
the game
defense.
of basketball, right? Like, anyway, that's what I'm telling my team.
And they had a lucky tip in from Joker.
But Rondo hit a step back three also.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Well, that was way
one
way
step
earlier.
back three he'll hit for
He
5
missed
years.
A step back three a wide open three in the fourth quarter late.
A game like this just reminds me of that old Branch Rickey quote where he said, "Luck is the residue of design." It just
well,
or if, like Phil said, you make your own luck.
Well,
exactly.
If the Lakers do win,
agree with that one.
And if the Lakers do win on Tuesday, LakerTom will have his broom set out. Personally, I like a Roomba instead.
Well, to be fair, Chuck had it out first before Tom.
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard around here to find a broom because my wife has 4 vacuums. She's got a vacuum for particular purpose, you know.
I'll take the Roomba.
We vacuum the car. We vacuum the garage. We got a shop vac. We got 4 portable vacs.
I'll take a cordless vac every time.
2 or 3 Dysons.
That's the quote of the day, LT.
Amelie.
Why is Chuck still using a push broom? TNT can afford a Swiffer.
It was yellow. It was purple and gold, right? It was the yellow broom. I think that's why they had it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Before everybody gets out their brooms or their Swiffers or their Roombas or their cordless vacuums,
2 Swiffers,
or any other cleaning device, we want to go ahead and check out what's going on during that game, obviously. And we'll be back here each and every day for the NBA playoffs. We will not be here tomorrow because there's no game scheduled tomorrow. But before we head on out, I want to go ahead and give everybody a chance to update everyone on what they're doing on their respective platforms, whether it's LakerHolics.com or NBA Draft Junkies. So first off, we're going to go ahead to Sean, a.k.a. Magic Man. What you cooking up? Hopefully it's something good at LakerHolics.com.
Yeah, actually, Gerald, I'm doing a preview on Bam Adebayo moving forward. I mean,
because you already have Miami and the Lakers in the finals.
Exactly, and when you watch Bam at that high elbow, he's even better than LeBron as a facilitator at that position. I don't think there's any player better at the high elbow to facilitate.
Strong words, young man. Take you to Twitter, man. Take you to Twitter.
Oh, bring it on, because I got the tape to back me up, so.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that, and you'll get to see a lot of the reactions that are up there on LakerHolics.com when he puts that up.
Would you trade Bam for Giannis?
Oh man.
You have to think about that?
Yeah, I would actually.
We're signaling the ref for a quick timeout, but we'll be back with more of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Hey Lakers fans, looking for the best place to go for up-to-date news, information, original videos, articles, podcasts, opinion pieces, and discussions about the Los Angeles Lakers? Well, look no further than LakerHolics.com. With a legion of followers always there talking about everything Lakers and the NBA, there's no better place to go to share your fandom as the team heads toward another championship run. So stop by and be part of the conversation today at LakerHolics.com. Okay, moving on to LakerTom.
What did you mean by that, Rafael?
I mean, Giannis is a 2-time MVP, first team all defense. I mean, I think people
I hear that Bam is not going to be a part of any deal that they make
for Giannis.
Yeah,
well, no, because they
made him untouchable.
Well, also they would wait to sign him until the money. They wouldn't sign him to his extension.
He might give the Bucks a sign and trade.
Well, I read Hero. I read the main piece would be Hero because he's from that area.
I've heard that too. I've also heard the Heat talk about how they see Hero as like another Booker. I just think that's trade bait leverage to me. I think Hero's a really good player, but I don't think he has the offensive versatility that Book has.
We didn't think Booker had it either coming out. I mean, they're both Kentucky guys who were better NBA rookies than they were in school.
Who plays the best defense on him? Could you say John Calipari?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at Cat and say Cat is the
a lot of guys like that.
Yeah. Cat's the best shooting big man ever, and he didn't shoot threes at Kentucky.
Yeah.
And as far as Bam goes, he just transformed his body, man. I mean, it's sculpted. It's different now. He's not afraid of contact. He's aggressive offensively, and he's really cut.
And he doesn't need to develop a shot like Giannis does.
No, he doesn't.
Or free throws.
Oh, and he did score 27 and 16 the other day in the last game, so there's a lot to look forward to. He was the only real, true bright spot for the Miami Heat in Game 3. So we'll see going forward what's going on with that. And check out the upcoming article that Sean has coming up on Bam Adebayo at Lakerholics.com. Jamie, I know you got some things going on there, but before you head on out, my friend, what we got cooking at Lakerholics.com?
I got 5 things about the game. I'm not counting Miami out. FYI, I do think it will be Miami that advances, but it's going to be by the hair of the chin. I feel like that Boston kind of unlocked their offense with Gordon Hayward, and that's going to be a big thing for Miami to adjust to. I mean, it's not like Gordon Hayward went out and had all-star Gordon Hayward numbers either. He came out and made a couple of good passes, got some rebounds, hit a couple of clutch buckets, and that was enough to really change the entire tenor of that basketball game.
I think as I told Raphael when we did our wrap-up, I think the biggest number that stuck out to me that was most important for Gordon Hayward was the 30, and that was minutes played. I think that is the most part, at least for that game.
It's huge for Brad Stevens. It's huge for Brad Stevens to be able to call that number for that many minutes. Now, how the ankle responds, is he able to do that again in a couple of days? They're lucky they have a couple of days off for Monday Night Football. Gives them an extra day to kind of get his ankle right, which is, again, huge for Boston. I think that it's going to go 7-7, and it'll come down to which of the two superstars between Butler and Tatum shows up, or Brown, I guess. Brown really showed me something in that last game. Everybody should get a pep talk from Marcus Smart, evidently, if they have a bad game, so you can turn it around and get yourself fired up.
Who do you think's the toughest matchup for the Lakers of those two teams?
I think Miami. I think Miami just because of Bam. I think that AD is going to eat any big man that Boston trots out there alive. And then if you toss in either Dwight or JaVale, that's a real matchup problem for Boston. But either one presents difficulties. You know, with Boston, you have so many guys that can put the ball on the floor, score, shoot the three. They're like a tougher version with more talent than Portland, and that could be hard for our defense to overcome. But I do like the Lakers' chances against any of the teams left. I mean, I've picked the Lakers to win it all for a while. Like that, nothing I've seen has changed that in my mind. Save, I won't even say it. There's only one thing that can derail us right now, and we're not. It's going to be like Voldemort, but it will be the thing that shall not be named.
Say no more.
Say no more.
We all know what I'm talking about. So I mean, that's my feeling. I feel like the league would love Lakers Boston more than anything because that's going to be the biggest TV revenue. But honestly, there's a lot of cool narratives with Miami too. You've got Riley versus LA, you've got LeBron versus Miami, you've got the only thing missing would be Dwayne Wade over there against LeBron, but we're one season too late for that.
And they'll find a way to make that a story.
Totally, yeah, exactly. I'm sure they'll let D-Wade into the bubble or something like. So he's over there next to Rondo's brother, and they can duke it out or whatever.
Go ahead, Sean.
You know what I mean?
I know the traditionalists would probably prefer to see a Lakers Celtics series, but to me, the more juicy, more more intriguing matchup is the Lakers and the Heat, because now the Heat are a legacy franchise, and they're playing the legacy franchise in the finals for the first time. I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be something that the NBA could really build up, because with or without Hero or Robinson, the Heat are going to be contenders now for the next at least 5 years.
Well, that's
so.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say it's an arms race now. Brooklyn's coming, KD's coming back. We know what they're about. Miami
Warriors are coming back.
Warriors are coming back.
So now we know what's up.
Which is why we have to win this year.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
But there's still a lot more to talk about when it concerns the rest of this series, and Jamie Sweet and Magic Man will have articles coming up on the way for LakerHolics.com. But before we get to Rafael and what he's doing with NBA Draft Junkies, LakerTom, what are the 5,200 articles that you're working on this weekend at LakerHolics.com?
Well, tomorrow we'll work on an AD article for sure. I would
hope so.
I put an article out this afternoon, which is who is the Lakers' third most valuable player at this point in time in the playoffs. And it's an interesting article because I went into the article thinking it was obviously going to be Rondo. And he scores. I basically went through the 7 major categories that you'd judge a performance or a contribution to a championship run: net rating, plus minus, points, rebounds, steals. And Rondo's up there in the top 5 on every one of those categories practically. The real surprise was Danny Green. Danny Green was right up there with him on several things, including net rating and plus minus. So it's something I'm going to track and follow, and hopefully at the end of the season we'll have a most valuable third player award for LakerHolics.com. I'm also looking at and I've got another article going on both. I've got an article on the Heat going and an article on the Celtics going.
That's it? Why don't you have one on every other? There's only 30 NBA teams.
You can't do it overnight when it happens so quick. So you got to invest some money in a losing proposition, because one of those stories isn't going to get published.
Well, it's true. Well,
I happen to think that it's a better matchup for the Lakers to play the Heat. Because I don't think that they really have a superstar, and it's going to be difficult for them to guard AD. And I don't mean any disrespect to Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler takes.
All right,
Jimmy Butler,
this is all conjecture. This is all preview
it's a little
stuff.
bit too much of an equal opportunity offense, if you will, if you ask me.
All right, guys. All right, hey, okay.
Go with whoever's hot in a particular situation, and sometimes that doesn't work when you get down at the end of a game.
Okay, guys.
Duncan Robinson is always hot.
Hold on, guys. Enough of this preview stuff.
Will you let me finish before you jump
previewing? We should be talking about this in about 3, 4, 5 days from now, not
exactly.
now.
You asked me what I was working on. I'm telling you what I was working on.
In a roundabout way, I didn't know it was going to come down to 10,000 words or less.
Well, I haven't had a chance. It's been interrupted 3 or 4 times.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I think that Boston has players who have superstar potential that are at the breakout points. And
I agree.
Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and if they get back a healthy and a little bit of experience to get by the ankle, they're a much tougher matchup for the Lakers, I think. I do think that Bam gives the Heat an element that the Celtics don't have, but it's still whoever's hot on that team, and they can be shut down just like I think the Rockets could be shut down, and the Blazers could be shut down, and the Lakers defense I think can shut down a shooting team like that. But I think the Celtics, because of their one-on-one ability, and they have a couple of guys who can guard LeBron, who can guard AD, and that's why I think they're a tougher matchup. Now, having said that, I'm hoping for the Celtics because I always believe you got to go through the best matchups, and I'm sorry to see I was actually sorry to see the Clippers go out, although I enjoyed their demise greatly. And I was sorry to see Milwaukee go out because I think great championships come from playing great competition. And you get games like I think the Lakers had today because you didn't have the Clippers playing against them. They had the Nuggets, and they got overconfident and messy and sloppy with the ball. So, but there'll be some good discussion tomorrow. It's a great time to celebrate for the Lakers. A terrific shot by Anthony Davis, who is starting to put his mark on the series. And it'll be interesting to see how much LeBron defers to him in the finals. Because AD's goal is obviously, after not finishing first in the Defensive Player of the Year or in the MVP award, you know what award he wants to have. He wants to hold up the trophy, and he wants to be the Finals MVP. And LeBron probably wants that for him.
Who would be guarding? And to say one last thing before we stop previewing, because this preview thing that's just driving me nuts that we're doing it right in the middle of the series. But previewing,
you started it, Gerald. You started it.
I went down that dark road. But anyways, who guards AD on Boston?
Lawyer, don't ask a question that you don't know the answer to.
Well, who guards? Well, okay, I want to know. I don't know this question. Who guards AD on Boston?
In Boston,
Tice. Yeah.
Who?
Probably
Tice.
Oh, you mean that's 40 points for AD? That's 40 points for AD?
They'll guard him, they'll double him, and they'll look to rotate.
Yeah.
They'll trust that we can't hit threes. That's a smart play for any team.
I still think Miami's the worst matchup for us. I still think Miami's more versatile. That's why I think Miami.
That's the game plan that Denver just threw at us. Hit threes.
Yeah, Miami's the more versatile of the two. I think they're a better matchup against the Lakers. So I'm hoping that Boston does win simply because of the fact that Boston is a worse matchup for the Lakers, just because the Lakers have too much size for Boston. But anyways, getting back to what we're going here in the middle of
you're
game
doing
two.
What exactly?
See,
what
you got
me.
You sucked me into that. Darn you. Anyways, before we head on out, Rafael, I know you're doing some great things at NBA Draft Junkies. So before I go down that road even further, and I get sucked up.
I want to go down it real fast.
Okay, go ahead.
I just thought about something.
You've been so patient, so absolutely. You got the floor.
I just thought about it after hearing LakerTom's his point. So think about it from this perspective. Doc Rivers did not want to stick around Boston because he didn't want to rebuild.
Right.
He basically got traded to the Clippers. Yeah. And if Boston makes it to the finals before Doc and the Clippers, that is absolutely hilarious.
Awesome.
Irony. It's irony.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
That's right. Ubuntu that, Doc.
I feel some sarcasm in LakerTom's voice.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
As far as what I'm doing,
actually, I really do like Doc. I respect him immensely as a man. I think that he's stood up and made some of the best comments that I've heard from any coach about the Black Lives Movement and the importance of voting and things of that nature.
Yes.
So I've gained a lot of respect for Doc as a human being and as a leader. As a coach, I'll leave it at that.
Well, I think that's what has helped him keep his job throughout, the fact that the Clippers haven't made it past the second round. The way he handled the Donald Sterling thing, I think that has helped him. If he had a different personality, then I would not
have survived.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yep.
But that's good. There's something to be said about character. The Clippers definitely needed some character, and Doc brought it along.
Would you say it's
media friendly?
Yeah, I was going to say
media election.
Media savvy, very media savvy.
Yep.
So Rafael, before we head on out, my friend, I need you to give everyone an update on what's going on with NBA Draft Junkies because we won't be on the air until Tuesday, you and I, my friend. So what's going on with you?
Yeah, I should have a couple videos, at least 2 videos up by then. I mean, I have them. I'm like LakerTom in a sense. I have them in the chamber. I just have to do a couple tweaks before I release them. But yeah, I mean that'll be it. Just a Cassius Winston video, and then another video where a guest came on and he talked about it as a big board.
So funny because you've got videos in your chamber. Tom's got articles in his chamber. I've got podcasts waiting for me. So
I guess the difference is, like with my videos, they get released no matter what. Tom's articles are like those T-shirts during the Super Bowl.
You got to be ready to ship the vaccine out.
Yeah.
Which one is it going to be?
Well, that's what they teach you in journalism school.
That's
what they teach you in journalism school. I mean, I'm a journalism major. That's where I got my degree, and that's what they teach you. Be prepared. Have that stuff ready to go out. Like the obituaries of, like RBG, rest in peace. They weren't just magically made in 10 minutes. A lot of those were already prepared way in advance. So I'm just
you have to hope
those segments were cut.
Like if the series goes 3-3, then you're really in a hole. Yeah. If the series goes 3-1, you can slip in. You can slip in that. Let's say it's 3-1 the Heat.
Well,
slip in that Celtics thing in a what if type of situation.
Yeah, here we go.
Good thing we didn't play the Celtics.
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead. We're already down this road.
I was just gonna add. I didn't get a chance to respond, but Tom thought that the Clippers acquiring a real point guard would actually solve the problems. I actually don't think there's a point guard out there that they need. They need a vocal guy who's going to be able to get inside Kawhi and PG and push them over the edge. And
LeBron's already playing for the Lakers.
Kawhi left that guy. He's still in Toronto, and I don't think the Raps are trade him to the Clippers. So
he needs Rondo.
Maybe
he needs somebody like that.
Doc and Rondo can reunite.
They need some type of illegal deal. They need some type of illegal deal where Chris Paul accepts a buyout and Ballmer pays him under the table $85 million.
That's right.
And here comes
he'll get Microsoft shares.
And here comes LakerTom. And here comes LakerTom to trade JaVale McGee on top of it. So there you go.
I wish JaVale played better because now it's just the expiring contract.
Here we go.
You got to hope for one 20-10 breakout game for JaVale, Tom. That's why you leave him in the lineup, just for trade purposes.
There's something to be said about that, Jamie. I think so.
And on that note,
it's a game now. They've shown how close they can get. And so now, no more.
And on that note, we'll go ahead and close it out here. Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Jamie Sweet and Sean Grice, a.k.a. Magic Man, I thank you guys so much. You can catch both the work, both their great work and their articles, 5 things from Jamie Sweet, and also the great articles on Bam Adebayo coming up, because that's coming up for him because he's already preparing to go down that road already. In fact, we're well on that road. We're on the highway. My gosh. You can go ahead and check out yeah, exactly. I know I've got my blinker on. I'm passing people right and left. But I want to go ahead and say
I'm on the Bam train. I'm on the Bam train big time. That guy's got a lot of great skills. He's got a great future. Absolutely. He's 2 years away from being a dominant player.
All right. Well, you could read more and discuss more about Bam Adebayo on Sean Grice's upcoming article on LakerHolics.com. Jamie Sweet's got a lot of great things going with us. 5 great things coming up for the article at LakerHolics.com. LakerTom has 10 million articles, and I'm increasing the number proportionately to what he's got going on at LakerHolics.com.
I just had
only 5 million get posted
on Medium.
Yes, at LakerTom on Twitter, at Rafael Barlowe. Please check out Rafael Barlowe's great stuff that he's doing today at NBA Draft Junkies and the Run the Floor podcast. But remember, if you want to go ahead and hit him up, he's got one of the best Twitter handles out there, at Barlow500. But for me, it's at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter. And then also don't forget for the latest coverage and latest news and information on anything in pop culture, we drop a new episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos on Monday. Since there's no Lakers Fast Break coming up that's new and fresh on Monday, check out the Pop Culture Cosmos on Monday as well. Well, my friends, it's been great going down the road with you after a brilliant victory, last second escape for the Lakers, 105-102. I'm so thrilled. I'm still glad I still have my voice, and LakerTom as well. But 105-102 victory over the Denver Nuggets, 2-0 in the Western Conference Finals. We'll see what happens coming up for the game on Tuesday, and we'll be right back at you here coming up this week. I want to go ahead and say, please, if you can, vote Register to vote if you're not already, but please vote and make a better world for our future. Thank you so much for listening to us and watching us right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.